What is up, guys? Stark here. I am back for another Fate video, and in today's video we are doing the character spotlight for the new banner servant, Napoleon. Now, Napoleon is a 5-star archer who comes out with the Lost Belt 2 pre-release campaign. So that's pretty cool. We're getting Lost Belt number 2, and as of this recording, anyway, the broadcast for Lost Belt 2 will be tomorrow. So hopefully we get some cool information there. But for now, this video is going to be focused on Napoleon and if he's a good character or not. So as I said, he is an archer, and at max level he will be at 13,097 HP and 12,033 attack. This will rank him 55th overall in HP and 16th overall in attack. So overall, those are his overall ranks. But as far as archers go, for his HP, he will rank tied 7th with Gilgamesh. They have the same HP at level 90. And then for his attack, he ranks 4th overall. This is only amongst archers, though. His star absorption is 150, star generation is 8%, and his noble phantasm generation on his attacks will be 0.59, and on defense, it will be 3%. So Napoleon functions pretty much as a AoE archer that has a ton of support skills in his kit that will help buff damage and, just knock out enemies pretty quickly. He's a pretty good character overall, but the downside, or the drawback, I guess, to Napoleon is that he is an archer, because there are other archers that do the same thing that he does. So he's going to be competing for a spot on your team with the likes of Gilgamesh and Ishtar, among other archers that do similar things as well. So it's definitely tough for him to find a spot on teams if you have those characters. But if you don't have those characters and you do happen to get Napoleon, then he's going to be very good. So for his kit of skills, his first skill is going to be the Charisma of the Triumphant Return B. This will increase the attack of all of your allies for 3 turns, and this will also increase his own attack by 20% for 1 turn. So at level 10, you'll have a 20% increase for everyone's attack, and this will be on a 5-turn charge time, so this is going to be really nice, especially if you're going to be bursting on the turn you use this, so you get that extra 20% increase to your attack, and then you can use his Noble Phantasm, and then you still have 2 extra turns of overall increase to damage as well. So it's going to be very nice, even if you're not using his Noble Phantasm and you just get a chain with him where you just use all his cards. It's going to be very helpful to do a lot of extra damage with him. His second skill is going to be the Fire Support Cannon B+. This will increase all of your allies' Noble Phantasm strengths for 1 turn, as well as increasing their critical star drop rate for 1 turn. So this will be on a 5-turn charge time as well at max level, and you'll get a 30% increase to your Noble Phantasm strength and a 100% increase to your star drop. So this is a really nice skill. It does only last for 1 turn for both of the effects, but that's pretty standard for Noble Phantasm boosts. You only get that 1 turn. It's a good skill. 30% increase to your strength is going to be very good, and you'll also be able to increase the drop rates of stars, so you could follow it up the next turn with your command card attacks and do a lot of extra damage there. And this is also a team-wide buff, so you can utilize your allies. So if Napoleon's Noble Phantasm is not ready, you can use someone else's Noble Phantasm and do extra damage there. And then his third and final skill is going to be the Light of Possibilities B. This will increase his Noble Phantasm gauge, as well as apply Ignore Invincibility for 3 turns, and this will also give him critical stars every turn for 3 turns. So this one is going to be on a 6-turn charge time at max level, but that's not too bad. It does have a lot in this skill that you can utilize, and 2 of the effects do last for 3 turns, so there's not much of a downtime in between them. So overall, it's not really that bad. You will get 10 stars every turn at max level, which is going to be very nice. Combo that with someone with a Fragment, Craft Essence, and you're going to get potentially 20 stars every turn for 3 turns. That's going to go a long way to be able to do some pretty good crit damage there. And you also able to ignore invincibility. That'll be very helpful when you fire off his Noble Phantasm, so you can get past the invincibility if that happens to come up. And you also have a Noble Phantasm gauge increase right there built into his kit, so you can use a variety of other craft essences like Kaleidoscope. If you use Kaleidoscope for farming and stuff, you can use that. It doesn't have to be max limit broken, you can just use a regular Kaleidoscope. Use his skill, fire off his Noble Phantasm, which is an AoE Noble Phantasm. So that's going to be very good. His kit definitely helps this character a lot. And yeah, you know, even if you have like a craft essence that gives you 50% increase to your Noble Phantasm gauge, you could use this, get you up to 80%, and then if you have like a waiver or something in there, you can get the last, or even Merlin. Merlin would be a fantastic choice if you have that maxed out, because then you get the 100% on the first turn. You can also get the buster increase for his skills, because he does have a lot of buster damage. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities with this character. That extra 10% really does help. As for his passives, he does have two. The first one is the Magic Resistance C, which will increase your debuff resistance by 15%. And the second one is the Independent Action C, which will increase your critical strength by 6%. So all in all, looking at everything as a whole, I do think he is a really good servant. He's got a lot of damage capabilities and a lot of skills that work together for what this character tries to do. Sometimes characters have good skills, but they don't really mesh well together. Like each independent skill is good, but when you look at them as a whole, they really don't work that well together. But Napoleon isn't like that. All of his skills really do blend together and have a really good flow. So I'm going to give him 5 stars overall for his skills. I think there's really not a whole lot of drawback to his skills. The cooldowns are low, the effects are good, the percentages are good. Yeah, I mean, for the way this character works, there's really not a whole lot more you can ask for with this character. So let's go ahead and take a look at his command card deck, and he has a balanced deck really for him. He has 1 quick, 2 arts, 2 buster. The hit counts are going to be 3 on the quick, 3 on the arts, only 1 on the buster, which is a little unfortunate. He does have 5 on his extra attack though. As for his command card chains, if you go Buster Arts, Buster Extra, you'll be able to do the most damage output. For his Noble Phantasm increase, you're going to be going with a Friend's Art card and then Arts for himself. No extra attacks since you're using a Friend one. You'll be able to get a 72% increase to your gauge. Once again though, this does factor in his skills, so really it's only like a 42% increase, but still that's a pretty good increase there. As for his stars, this will be a Arts Quick Extra one, which will net you 26 stars. And this is also factoring in his third skill, which will give you the 10 extra stars. So that's pretty good, being able to get almost 30 stars with his command chain there. And like I said, if you're using someone with a Fragment Craft Essence, then you can up that to like 36 stars, and that's a pretty good amount of stars there, so that should be very helpful for you. As for his Noble Phantasm, it is going to be a Buster Noble Phantasm, so you do have the potential to do Buster Brave Chains. And this will apply Ignore Defense for 1 turn, as well as deal damage to all enemies. And on the Overcharge effect, this will deal extra damage to Divine enemies. So if you combo this with his third skills, you'll be able to ignore defense as well as invincibility, and you'll be able to do a pretty solid amount of damage there. And if those enemies are divine, you will be doing extra damage. So it can be a pretty powerful Noble Phantasm, and if comboed correctly with his skills, you'll be able to ignore pretty much any defensive buffs that the enemies have. So that's pretty good there. So he does also have a upgrade to his Noble Phantasm, and this will up his overall damage from 300% at base to 400% at base. Not a huge increase, but it's still a 100% increase in overall damage. So that's pretty nice. Not overall damage, but like the percentage goes up by 100. And then you'll also gain 20 critical stars. So that's pretty good there. So he'll be able to generate a ton of stars once he gets this update. It's not going to be for a little while though, unfortunately. But, once he does get it, then he'll be, a lot more viable for crit teams because of those extra stars, and he'll get the stars from his third skill as well. His overcharge effect stays the same, still increase the same amount of damage against divine enemies. So it's just a little small update, but it is pretty cool, and that is a nice buff to get 20 critical stars off of that. So yeah, overall for his damage, he could do a lot of really good damage in my opinion. He's got a ton of buff skills that can increase his damage, and even his Noble Phantasm increases his damage. He's able to ignore invincibility and defense, so he's just gonna pretty much be unstoppable when he decides to fire off his big attacks. So I will give him 4.5 stars overall for his damage. For his critical ability, now I do have to not take into account his overall for his Noble Phantasm upgrade, since he doesn't have it yet. That's a little bit of a drawback, but you know, even without that, he still does have pretty good capabilities as, you know, crit goes. He has his skill to increase the drop rate of stars for your entire team, and he also does have the ability to gain critical stars every turn for 3 turns. So that's going to be very helpful in, you know, the crit department there. So yeah, you know, pretty good. I'll give him 4 stars. As far as his Noble Phantasm goes, once again, we can only take into account his original Noble Phantasm. It's still going to be very good. Obviously, when it gets upgraded, the star ranking will go up a little bit for that. So I am going to give this one 4 stars as well. He does pretty good damage that can ignore defense, and if you are going against divine enemies, you get a little bit of a boost. So, you know, that's going to be very helpful. And there are quite a few divine enemies out there, so you will be able to utilize this pretty frequently. For his survivability, I am only going to give him 3 stars. His kit offers no defensive support whatsoever, so you really can't get too many points there, and he is a little bit on the lower end of HP for 5-star characters, so that doesn't help him either. Now, he doesn't necessarily need the defense because he will more than likely take out the enemies before the time he gets killed, but at the same time, if you are going against a tougher enemy, he could potentially fall pretty quickly, and you know, he's not going to be very helpful in longer fights because he has no way to keep himself alive. So you would have to devote an extra character to do that job for him. So yeah, overall, his survivability is not really his strongest suit. As for his versatility, I am going to give him 4 stars. He is very useful in my opinion. Like I said though, he is competing against some of the best characters in the game as far as archers go. So that's tough, you know, going against a Gilgamesh and an Ishtar is very tough to top them. But if you don't have those characters, then he is a very good option. And even if you do have those characters, he's still a viable option. It's just, in my opinion, those characters are better. But still, he's very versatile. His first 2 skills affect the entire party. His effects are really nice, so he can definitely find himself into a lot of different team setups just because of that. The main drawback, like I said, is just who he's competing with, but can't really factor that in too much for his ranking. Just gotta look at his skills as a whole. So overall, I do think he is very good and very versatile. So that is why he got his 4 stars. So yeah, overall, he is going to get a 4.1 out of 5. Pretty good character in my opinion. He's very effective at dealing damage and wave clearing and farming, which is very helpful in a lot of situations. So if you don't have Gilgamesh or Ishtar, then you know this is going to be your go-to archer in those situations. So now really the only thing left to talk about is the future banners for this character. Obviously, as of this recording right now, he is currently out in the game. He comes out by himself for the pre-release campaign for Lost Belt 2. Personally, I don't think you should pull for him right now. I think you should wait a little bit later on to get him. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the banners that he will come out in as far as this year is concerned. So he does come back a couple times this year. The first one is going to be for the anniversary, which will be in the Lucky Bag class pickup for the 3rd anniversary. So if you did want him, you'd have to go ahead and roll on the Archer banner and hope that you get him. So that's always a risky situation. You never really can tell which character you're going to get. It's going to be very random, and there's a lot of characters in that pool. But you could be trying to roll for like a Gilgamesh or an Archer, what am I talking about? Gilgamesh or an Ishtar or anyone else, and you end up getting him. That would be a pretty good opportunity right there. In December of this year, after Bradamante comes out, he comes back in the Winterfest, and if I do have a couple extra quartz, then I might go ahead and roll it there. I think this is a better place for him to be coming out than right in front of the anniversary. I think that was a really bad spot for him to come out in. For most people anyway, you have the anniversary, and you also have Summer 3 coming out, and you also do have the Lost Belt, the actual Lost Belt banner. So there's a lot to contend for right now with Napoleon, but when he comes back in December, there's not as much going on. You do have, like I said, Bradamante, and you do have Benny Emma in January, so he's still sandwiched between some pretty good servants, but I think this is a little bit better of an opportunity to go for. Anyway guys, that's going to be it for me. I hope you did enjoy the video, and if you did, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I do have the links below to my Twitter, Twitch, Patreon, and Discord, so feel free to check those out. And I'll leave you guys here with Napoleon's Noble Phantasm, and I'll see you guys next time.
人よ願え、お前たちに不可能はない。なぜならば俺がいる。アルク・ドゥ・トリオンス・ドゥ・レトワー